Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
2.
Bells and belts. What's going on, everybody? Your boy Man Up here, back with our monthly melee. I have my tag team partners, Jason Davis and Bro Cephas, aka Joey. Cedric's not able to join us today. What's going on, everybody? How y'all feeling today?
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Oh man, we got some topics we want to talk to everybody about, and make sure y'all keep the comments coming because y'all have been doing great with that lately, and we love it. We appreciate that feedback that y'all giving us. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get that bell ringing.
Let's do it. Oh, hang on one sec. Now let's do it. There we go.
All righty. Yeah, Nesha Cedric is okay. He's okay. All righty. So with that being said, what's on everybody's mind today? What's on everybody's mind?
Well, tonight is, of course, our monthly Melee episode. So what that means is that we are kind of doing things a little different tonight. We're not focusing on any one particular topic. We're going to cover a range of things tonight, particularly sort of the news of the day and also a little bit of the news of yesterday as well. We got ourselves a belt quiz coming up later on this evening, and we also have our belt of the month.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just
ready to have a lot of fun. Who else out there watching is ready?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just going to double check something here. It says I'm live in CBC. Let me just.
Are we on there? Like I could not see it.
Maybe we aren't. Let's see.
We got to make sure now.
We got to check.
We don't need all these
technical. We take care of our people. No, we are not.
We're not?
No, according to this, we are not. Let me just remove this.
And
I'm going to reset that.
That just says she's the only one watching.
And that's why I did that video last week for you, Nasha. It was just
sometimes it takes a few minutes for people to realize we're on, and then we start loading up, though.
There we go. All right.
Nasha's always there waiting on us.
You're ready to go.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we can get underway here. It looks like I might have reset it, so we'll see. If not, we can always post the YouTube link later.
Yeah.
All right. What we are going to start off tonight with a little segment I like to call Wrestling This Week, Dirt Sheets and Draws.
We are live. It's Champions Belt Club. Sorry, we are.
Oh, there we are. We are there. Nice. All right.
Sorry.
Here we go. No, that's good. Good to know we're here. There we go. Looks like we're back up and running. All right.
Oh, man.
So we're going to move into the first segment of the news of the week and get rid of that monster. And we are going to talk first about the recent pay-per-view Bound for Glory. Impact Wrestling made big news last week, not only with the pay-per-view, but also with its announcement at the end of the pay-per-view. So let me just bring this graphic up here, and I'm going to pull down our overlay. There we go. Get up there we are. So we had a pay-per-view last weekend. We had Bound for Glory with featuring the heavyweight world championship on the line between Alex Shelley. The Knockouts Women's World Championship was on the line between Trinity and Mickie James. We had the Tag Team Championship and being contended between the Rascals and ABC. The X Division Championship with Chris Sabin and Kenta. And then we had the Monster Ball match with Rhino, PCO, Steve Macklin, and Moose. And we had one of the big matches that sort of, I think, was a big draw for a lot of people. We had Will Ospreay against Mike Speedball Bailey. So quite a lot going on there. And I believe we had a pre-pay-per-view Knockouts World Tag Team Championship match as well. Is that correct, Joey?
It didn't air on the pre-show or the pay-per-view, but a few days later, Impact did drop it on their YouTube channel.
Perfect. Awesome. And then, of course, we also had three introductions into the Impact Hall of Fame: Tracy Brooks, Mike Tenay, and the late Don West. All right. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about how did you think they handled the whole Hall of Fame sort of introduction, sort of the way they're sort of managing and curating their Hall of Fame. You happy with it?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. It's not drawn out. It's not too much. And what I love about it is there's not a lot of people are in this Hall of Fame. If you look at it, it's a very small group. Usually they only do like one entry a year. So this is kind of a change for them to induct 3 people really, but in 2 inductions. But I thought, the speeches were very good. They were kind of short and sweet, but got to the point, but it was really well done. I was thinking, when I was waiting for Mike Tenay to get introduced to come out, I was like, man, he's not going to have a lot of time, but he managed to, I thought he used the time very wisely. Tracy utilized her time wisely. And again, for a company that's been around for 21 years now, they've recently kind of got to the point where this is becoming more special. And to see these people, 3 people that, really were a part of TNA when it first started up, especially the original broadcast team and then the original Knockout herself, Tracy.
Yeah.
I was blown away by it.
And it's really nice to see Mike Tenay get some acknowledgement. I mean, he was a huge part of the WCW broadcasting team as well, and the likelihood that WWE is ever going to sort of acknowledge his work in that promotion isn't likely. So it's really nice to see him sort of get his respect.
Yeah.
So first match of the evening was Kenta and Saban. What did you think?
It was very good. I kind of felt like these two must not have wrestled each other before, or not much. It felt like they were feeling each other out a lot and trying to figure out where to go with it. But it was very good. I just feel like, man, if they do a second match or a third match or whatever, like it, we could see something even more incredible between the two, because you're talking about 2 extremely talented people.
Yeah, really, really, really talented. And I think maybe not enough build up for this match. Maybe was part of it as well. I think it was very athletic match, and it was well executed. It just didn't have the tension and the storyline that you might hope it would have. It's
the X division. I kind of feel like the X division's more about the story in the ring, than it is about storylines. But
it just didn't. I just felt like the chemistry could have maybe been helped a little bit with that, but otherwise, pretty good match, solid match for sure. Then we had, of course, the Monsters Ball match. Went over on that one. How'd you feel about that one?
Good. PCO really isn't human. I don't know how he's doing what he's doing, but he and Rhino, for their ages, were very, very good in this. Moose is always good. He's always bringing something interesting to the table. God knows, for a guy his size, he takes a lot of bumps and he takes a lot of crap in the match. So,
yeah.
But isn't that where was that in the match where PCO got dropped on the concrete or cinder blocks or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm just like, what? How does a man in his 50s take that kind of, even just a back body drop onto some cinder blocks? It looks extremely painful.
Mm-hmm. I was really impressed with Rhino in this match, and how man, I mean, he's kind of timeless a little bit with his work. I mean, he looks pretty solid. He looks just almost as good as he looked in his ECW days. I mean, he really
he's gained
is
a little weight over time, but
but
that's to
man,
be
he's
expected. But doesn't look
but
bad.
but he looks good. Like, I mean, he's keeping up with the younger guys. He's still explosive. He still seems dangerous, like when with the way he works. So, and PCO is just a freak of nature. That guy, just what he can put up with and what he can work through is just unbelievable. Yeah.
Steve Macklin too is a guy that's just improving every time I see him. Like he's special.
Yeah, I agree. Then we had the tag match, of course. How'd you feel about that?
Oh, this was a banger here. This was amazing.
Yeah.
Like I was really impressed by this. The chemistry that ABC has with the Rascals. This was 4 guys that really went out there to attempt to steal the show.
Yep.
And for a little while they kind of did until we got to another match later, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, we're getting to that.
I think I know which one he's talking about.
Yeah, this is and again, to me, this is the difference in the chemistry and the build-up. Like, this one had a built-in storyline. It was believable. It had all the athleticism, and the athleticism was still able to be a priority, but it felt like there were stakes in this one. It felt like they definitely felt like the stakes were raised, and I really enjoyed that match. I thought it was great.
I'm a huge fan of ABC. I think both Chris Bay and Ace Austin are 2 of the most talented professional wrestlers in the entire industry right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't disagree at all. Don't disagree. And then, of course, we had the Osprey Speedball match, and it was everything it was supposed to be.
The most beautiful thing that happened from this match is a lot of new eyes got on Mike Bailey that had not been on him, and he's a guy from Montreal, I believe.
Yes, he is. Yeah,
tremendous athlete, martial artist, can do a lot of insane things.
Yep.
And I think Will Ospreay is on the cusp of getting in that Bret Hart category, to where he's a guy that, you know, even beating you, he can elevate you, he can take you up to another level. A la like Bret Hart defeating Steve Austin in WrestleMania 13, but making him in that match. Mm-hmm. It's like he kind of made Mike Bailey in this match. He made Mike Bailey look like this match could have gone either way very, very easily, that Ospreay just found a way to win.
Yeah. And a lot of that, I think, in Bret's case, and also now in Ospreay's case, is they can make stuff look believable. And so like you can build some sympathy up on somebody when you come at them with an offense that looks like it's doing real damage. And so, you know,
I mean, he could have, Ospreay could have went out there and just peed in the pool and just shit all over him and smothered and just destroyed him or whatever, if that's what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But you could tell he was invested in this, and he wanted to, make business good here at Impact Wrestling, as TNA as it will be. But tremendous ability, and like I said, I think in defeat, Speedball Mike Bailey moved up a couple of notches in the fans' eyes.
Yeah, he definitely got the rub from Ospreay from that match for sure. Definitely, I agree. And Ospreay again looks like $1 million. I'm sure maybe some people out there would argue or disagree, but for my money, he's the best guy going right now. So
first off, if he can put this move, this Tiger Driver, on anybody and have them land square on their shoulders, like just down with all that weight compacting, and not hurt them, I'm blown away. Like, I'm like, how are you doing this? Because he did it to Kenny Omega and Speedball Mike Bailey that we've seen recently, and both men got right back up and walked away from this injury free.
Yeah.
Nestor, we see your comment.
We're coming in. We're coming in on that soon, any minute now.
Yeah, we'll get you on that one.
Generic.
There's no excuse. Generic jobber. There's no excuse.
And then we had the Call Your Shot match. We had the debut of Sonny Kiss, and we had the finish of that you see pictured there. So, what did you think? How did you feel about it?
It was extremely entertaining overall. Is that Matt Cardona getting?
That is
thrown
Matt
down?
Cardona getting the old Dudley's finisher there.
Yeah, he was one of the surprises too in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. So
Yep.
I mean, I'm a fan of Jordynne Grace. I think she's extremely talented, and you know, the match comes down to, and in true gauntlet fashion, TNA gauntlet fashion, it comes down to the last two. It turns into a one-on-one match, it's no longer a battle royal. And Jordynne Grace pinning Bully Ray at the end. Kudos to Bully Ray for.
Whoa! Hang on. What?
Yeah, I'm giving him
What was
credit.
that?
Kudos to Bully Ray for doing business and making. Hey, it's about making stars. It's about making people, and you know, not a lot of guys are going to let a woman necessarily beat them like that. But they made it look as good as you possibly can. She gives up a ton of size to Bully Ray. She's small compared to him, but she even for a jacked woman like she is.
Yep, right there.
Yeah. But I gotta say I was impressed with the way they booked this. Whoever booked this match did a really great job. They let her get some physical. Like, one of the benefits of being a little undersized compared to the person that you're fighting against, wrestling against, is she had the luxury of kind of laying some stuff in pretty stiff, which was great. And Bully was clearly willing to let that happen and did business and let it happen.
She picked him up in that finisher too. And
yeah,
I was like,
they made it physical enough that it was believable that she earned it, but they didn't make it look like she didn't sneak out with a sort of a roll up, like a sunset,
right.
you know, or you know what I mean, not a sunset,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
a small package or anything like that. It wasn't like it wasn't a sneak away win or anything like that. They let her be physical, and they took advantage of the size, you know, disparity to let her sort of lay it in, which made her. So, you know, kudos.
And she
kudos
called
to
her
Bully.
shot too. We should say she called her shot. She announced she was going to be challenging for the Knockouts World Championship at Hard to Kill.
Yep, absolutely. And then we had this match.
Okay, let me get in on this one.
Go for
I
it.
was very disappointed when I saw this one. I thought Trinity was going to be a whole lot more looking like a well-oiled machine, but she looks so out of place to me. It's like she just more like letting her bright colors show. You know what I'm saying? Like, let that be part of the match instead of her, you know, doing her thing. I told Joey and I told all of y'all, you know, even Cedric, you know, when it was coming on, I said this was the match I was looking forward to seeing. And I was like, really? I didn't even comment or nothing. I just said, okay, whatever. I said, all right. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Go ahead, Joey.
No, I mean, so, you know, when she first came to Impact, it was kind of like she was blowing up pretty early in the matches, breathing super heavy and looking just not in shape at all. But I was like, okay, she just came back, like cut her some slack. She's getting in there. But it's like, here's the main criticism. She blew up like within a couple minutes of the match. She was already like done. Like she could not keep up. She couldn't, she looked like she was just struggling to do anything in there. And then what's worse is, with all due respect to Mickie James, she is not good enough as a professional wrestler, as a wrestler to take somebody else and carry them through a match. Like, I feel like Deonna Purrazzo in their matches did a better job kind of concealing Trinity's weaknesses and making Trinity look strong. Mickie just is not. She just does not have the skill it takes to do that.
You've been keeping up with Impact a little more than I have this year, Joey. Didn't she just come off an injury too, Mickie?
Yeah,
James,
that was the part of the story here too. Is she had to vacate the Knockouts World title too due to injury. At the same time, Josh Alexander had to vacate his title. It happened right around the same time. They both got injured. They both had to vacate the belts.
Right. So we don't even really know if she's 100%, right? Like, and I mean, shoot wise, there's a chance that maybe she's just not quite recovered as well.
I just don't think Mickie, and again, no, Mickey's a star and she's good, but I just don't think she's not. she's just not at. I just don't think she's the right type of opponent to carry her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also too, I was going to touch on this because I don't think anybody would call me an anti WWE guy. I'm pretty open minded about all of the product, but I think everybody has to sort of accept now that this whole women's wrestling revival or revolution in WWE is hype, and there's always been a distinction between the whatever that reality show that they were filming before, Total Divas. There were the Total Diva female wrestlers, and then there were the handful of other people that were sort of their go-to wrestlers. And so like the four horsewomen you didn't see them on that show because they're protecting them and keeping them sort of on the wrestler side of things, and then you have your Bella Twins, and you have your other people that are over on that other show, and she's on that show. She was one of those wrestlers, quote unquote wrestlers, who probably were a lot more presentation and a lot more sort of maybe I don't know if the protected is the right word, but I think it applies here. Was protected by the organization, by the promotion, and they used them the right way, put them in the ring the right way. But when you put them in the ring with some of these other world-class wrestlers, you really find out that they can't hang.
Yeah. But I'm not knocking Mickey.
I don't knock it. No, I'm not, and I'm not knocking I'm not knocking Total Divas either. It is what it is, and for some people, that's a fun part of enjoying wrestling, enjoying the entertainment. But there was a noticeable difference for years in the WWE between the people that appeared on that show and how they worked in the ring, and the people that didn't. So,
well, and Mickey, where I was going at, let me explain this better about what I'm saying about Mickie James. Mickie James obviously is a very good performer, a very good women's wrestler. The issue with her is she's not a ring general type. She's not somebody like Deanna is, where Deanna can direct you through the whole thing. She can carry the entire match, direct traffic the whole time, and carry somebody through it. To me, Mickie James she's never been that type. She's a showman herself. She's somebody that gets out there and knows when to get her spots in. She knows when to do her stuff. But she's not somebody that's really like an in-ring general, a match leader type. She's not that type. And you need somebody like that to work with Trinity, because Trinity is definitely not one of those people. But this is, and somebody corrected me, because even I was trying to say positive things about Trinity, and they were like, yeah, but you shouldn't, like, you're talking about having to have somebody carry somebody through a match. You shouldn't have to do that for the world champion.
Right.
She's supposed to be the world champion.
This is a valid comment here from Nesha about Natty being on Total Divas. So I'm a Canadian. I'm a fan of Natty, fan of the entire Hart family. But I will say this: I think most people would agree. Maybe you don't, but I would suggest that Natty lost her way in terms of what should be a priority and how she was going to present herself. And I would argue that she could have been easily in the mix with the Four Horsewomen, and could have easily been, and it is probably a big part of their success behind the scenes in terms of practice and wrestling and coaching and all of that stuff. But I think she started to put too much of a focus on the Hollywood side of it, the presentation, vignette, Total Diva side of it. And I think that is a reflection of kind of how her career has kind of played out, unfortunately. I think she was much better when we look back in the history books of Natty's career. She was much more talented than we got to see in the WWE. I don't think she actually really tapped into her full potential as like a legitimate ring wrestler. And I think she could have done a lot more than, unfortunately, she got to do. Part of that is her own fault because she took her eye off the ball.
Well, and I just don't think WWE ever viewed her as a star. I don't think they ever really viewed Natty as a star. Yeah.
But I also think she voluntarily put priority on that on the fluff rather than the substance. So
she just kind of took her place in the company and was happy with it.
Yep.
that probably wasn't, like you said, she could have been more. She probably shouldn't have done that, but she kind of settled into that role and apparently is happy with it. So whatever.
So, man, yeah, like if she's happy with what she did, who am I? What does? I'm sure she doesn't care. I'm sure she's drying her eyes with her millions of dollars and not worrying about what I think. But
she's happy.
Yeah, I'm sure she's happy. But when we're talking about the fact, like when somebody says, because that's often the argument is like Natty Neidhart was on Total Divas, that makes, they were legit wrestlers. Well, yeah, but Natty was also trying to sort of find any way to be relevant on WWE TV, and she was taking the nod from the Bella Twins.
I don't really think anyone is going to be like, man, the Bella Twins were great in-ring performers, great wrestlers. Man, I don't think anybody's ever going to say that.
No,
you knew what you were getting with that. So, that's
Facts.
what Man Up's like. Yeah, no.
So for me watching and bringing it back to Impact, for me watching this match, it just put a spotlight on all of this. That you're seeing. This is the difference between craft and presentation. So
but maybe it's because of age now. But what I'm finna get ready to say, it could be because of age, or maybe just different athleticism have to be displayed. And I'm talking about Trinity here. Mm-hmm. She was great as a Orlando Magic cheerleader. I don't know if she never changed.
How old is Trinity?
That's what I was getting at. I don't know if it's because of age or what, but I don't know if she know that she has to change her conditioning because there's a whole lot more athleticism involved with professional wrestling. I don't know, but that's just what I got when I watched it. I was just totally disappointed.
Yeah.
But, there you go.
Moving on to the final match of the evening, we had the World Heavyweight Championship match. How'd you feel about this one?
Oh, I loved it. I thought, I was excited to see how. Because these guys wrestled last year when Josh was the world champion, and they had a very good match. So, I kind of knew we were going to see something special with just the sheer talent. And you talk about age too. Shelley's crossed the line of 40 himself. He's not a young man himself, and Josh is mid-30s. Mm-hmm. So these guys aren't spring chickens either doing this stuff anymore. But I thought they really put on a good match. I don't think they were ever going to follow the Ospreay Speedball Mike Bailey match. But they worked a different type of match, but it had a lot of variety and a lot of good things. And I was very happy. And I said, I was talking offline to Caleb Sinite about this because he was like, I think Josh is going to win it. And I'm like, no, Shelley has to win this to have credibility. Like, he has to beat Josh Alexander. There's just kind of no way around it. Josh will have more world title reigns. That's going to happen. Like, his time is not over at all. But I think right now you gotta strike while the iron's hot. And Shelley has been a fantastic world champion, taking on all comers and wrestling a lot of great matches. So I look forward to seeing this again down the line.
Yep. And you never know. I'm always wondering what kind of match you're going to get when you take somebody who's predominantly mat-based wrestler and put them up against a high flyer and somebody that does a lot of sort of aerial and high risk stuff. Sometimes it's magic, sometimes it ain't. But this was a great pairing. They had some good chemistry. So,
yeah, they kind of met each other in the middle of those styles and figured it out.
Yeah, it was a good match, really good match. And then, of course, we had the big announcement at the end of the pay-per-view.
There you go, Nesha.
There you go, Nesha. So we're TNA is back. They're rebranding themselves as TNA Wrestling Impact, I believe it is what they're calling themselves.
The Impact's still going to be the name of the show.
Yeah.
The company's going back to Total Nonstop Action Wrestling.
Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like hitting reset. It's like all of those Dixie years are sort of being, they're still going to be acknowledged, but they're not rewriting history, but they're resetting themselves. And I think it's a smart business move, smart marketing.
Man Up, what do you think?
I think it's a good move as well too, because I don't know, I just never liked the Impact. Now, I ain't talking about the product. I'm just saying the name itself. I liked that the TNA, because at first, when I first started watching TNA, I did not know what the hell that meant until I read it. I was like, oh, it kind of, to me, Total Nonstop Action kind of draws you in. So you want to see all of the action. So One of the few
Yeah.
shows I watched at TNA. I I love it. I love it.
And I
Yeah.
mean, we've been hearing more about this brand over the last week than we probably have over the last 2 years. So, I mean, it did
worked.
what it
The
did
buzz
what it needed
happened
to
and-
do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say, I mean, talk about brilliant minds in the professional wrestling industry. There's one right there on your screen, and he doesn't get enough credit, and that's Coach Scott D'Amore. This guy really has his vision. If we're seeing his vision start to play out, I'm excited because this guy must have a million ideas in his mind. He's always been such a talented guy anyway, whether he was wrestling, managing, or behind the scenes being creative. But now that, he's in the driver's seat, he's the president of TNA, he's really, we've seen the crowds grow. We've seen them return to Ontario, which is his home, turf. We've seen they've made that relationship with Santino Marella and his Battle Arts dojo. So they kind of they're making these brilliant relationships. They're building relationships with New Japan, with Rev Pro in England. They're really coming up. This is the first time since like 2014 that they've toured the United Kingdom. They went to Australia earlier in the year. Anyway, yeah. I don't think they're going to rename themselves again. I think it gets the stink of the Hogan Bischoff era off the product too. I think that's one of the things that turned me away from the company was when Hogan and Bischoff came in and all these guys started coming in and they just took the identity of TNA away. Yeah. And it just started becoming this dry, boring kind of show. It wasn't total nonstop action anymore. TNA is about, let's keep the promos to a minimum. Let's keep the dramatics to a minimum and let's get back in the ring and do some stuff.
Kudos to Scott D'Amore to be confident enough in his booking and in his promotion that he is, has the foresight to not lock his wrestlers down into these airtight contracts and only let them work in Impact. The fact that he's letting his people go to these various promotions and work, he's smart enough to realize that that's putting eyes on his product and putting eyes on his wrestlers, which in the long run, it's all boats rise together. And hopefully more promoters and more promotions start to take the same mindset.
He was, I mean, you could bring back now. We're going to get new designs. He already said that.
We're definitely getting new belts, David. Yeah, we're getting new designs.
The one thing is the 6-sided ring is not coming back, and he did cite performer safety as a big thing. There is a much harder ring. So he's looking at safety. He feels the ring they're using is a lot safer for the athletes. Yeah. And on that note, I'll support that. I would love to see the 6-sided ring as an aesthetic back. I thought it brought an interesting.
Well, you might see it come back as like a pay-per-view. It might come back as a pay-per-view gimmick where it's like kind of like the way they WWE uses Hell in a Cell. You might see the 6-sided ring come back to feature
like
the
do
X
Destination X again and have it be like an X Division themed thing.
Yeah. But I mean, the amount of reinforcement they have to put into that ring takes all the give in the ring out. So like they're just the wear and tear of that on your body, the bumps is just not worth it.
I like this comment by Nesha right here. Nesha, Joey is the one who got me watching that, and I had to agree. It was weird because I've never seen that before. Mm-hmm. But when I actually sat down and watched it, I was like, whoa, I love it.
Yeah. But I think a lot of fans, when they heard that announcement, thought that he was talking about like the ropes and the multiple sides being the safety issue. It's actually the amount of reinforcement in the ring. It's just you're losing all this
hard surface to land on.
Yeah. It's just a lot more. It's a lot more metal and a lot more reinforcement, and they can't get the floor to flex the same way in that as they could in a standard ring. So
and you think about the cables too. There's less distance between turnbuckles. Yeah. So the cables are a lot tighter. So you're hurting. It hurts like hell to hit those ropes. Yeah. So you can imagine the wear and tear. And you looking at a lot of these guys like Shelley and Sabin, amongst some of the legends that are in the company now that have been there since the early days. Those guys bumped around on those rings, so they're probably, and now they're in their 40s, so they're probably like, we can't. You know,
No thanks, no thanks for that. Yeah.
And I'm sure
Or maybe they'll bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, D'Amore did say at this point they weren't planning to do it. They were going to keep going with that. But again, TNA meant a whole different thing. It was kind of a play on words whenever they, or you know what it was when they started it up and had the girls dancing in cages and stuff like that. But I think now TNA brings back that feeling of TNA, the original company, like in the feel of it and the speed of the show and kind of the way it's presented and everything. And then it's just, and the fact that so many people, there's a lot of haters out there. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people like, there's people pooping on it. They always do. When you're trying to do something and you're trying to come back, like people always going to shit on it a little bit, but it seems like there's a lot more positivity about this out there in the wrestling community than there is negativity.
Well, like we said earlier, whether you love it or hate it, you're talking about it. So mission accomplished. So.
And again, when you talk about D'Amore, look at those people in the lineup. These are people you want to talk about loyalty. D'Amore is that speaks to his character. So many people are so loyal to him, to include Josh Alexander, the Machine Guns, Moose, these guys that he had. You see Kushida come back in. He had a hand in training Kushida. So many of these talents, they stay with D'Amore. They really are loyal to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, I think that we've covered that pretty well. I wanted to move on to a couple of topics that sort of picked up some notice over the weekend. CM Punk made news this weekend, being quoted on a recent interview. We'll bring that up. Someone asked him about the possibility of there ever being a wrestlers' union. And CM Punk's quote said, "For professional wrestling, wrestlers should 100% have a union. I'll always say this, and I mean it in the most loving way. Wrestlers will never unionize because wrestlers are stupid and selfish. That's just the way it is. When your boss is a billionaire and you don't want to rock the boat, this isn't in wrestling. This applies to anything. I've never been that guy. I always I don't need the money. This is wrong, and I get to tell people it's wrong." CM Punk.
I think he's telling the truth. Okay, BJ Masks. All right, welcome, Seth. that came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
all right.
Control the movie.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right. Okay. I don't know how is PJ Masks kind of sound like CM Punk.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe.
Here's the thing with me on this one here. I like CM Punk. I really do. I really do like his in-ring skills, his pipe bombs, and all that crazy nonsense. But his outside the ring stuff, come on. I look. Do they need to form a union? Maybe so. But that's just not your opinion. That's everybody's opinion. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to say, okay, do I want to do this or do I not? People know what they're getting, what they're signing up for when they sign the contracts with these companies. So if they decide to form a union to do it, I should say, let's just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to stir the pot. That's just how I took it. He's just trying to stir the pot. So
no, I don't think he is trying to stir the pot. I think he's got merit to what he said. Yeah, there you go with the Jesse Ventura thing, and Hogan kind of stepped in and fought it. This is what I respect about CM Punk. He says what he means, and he means what he says.
I respect that. I do. But
these other guys don't do that.
But
that's one of the points he's trying to make. John Cena's not going to do what he's doing. John Cena's going to toe the line and keep his mouth shut and do what he's told. CM Punk ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Well, how did Jesse Ventura feel about that when Hulk Hogan sabotaged that whole union?
He's pretty pissed about it. He left the company.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's an interesting comment because I think this gives us a little bit of insight into CM Punk's mentality with some of this backstage stuff. I think he talks about, I'm always I don't need the money. This is wrong. And I get to tell people it's wrong. I think he feels like he's in a position where he's over enough and he's valuable enough that he can take the risk and say the things people don't want to say. I think a lot of times this stuff that he's getting into, these pipe bombs he's dropping backstage, for lack of a better term, are well intentioned. I think he thinks he's the good guy. I think he thinks he's helping, and that's the problem is with some of this, is that I think he feels he's on the right side of things with some of this, and he feels like he's doing the right thing for the boys, and the boys don't appreciate it.
They don't want it.
They don't want it. So.
Oh, two things. Nesh, for what Nesha? Can you put back up Nesha's last comment? He's jobless, but I want to tell you that I really believe in my heart CM Punk got himself fired on purpose, A. And then B, he's a multimillionaire, so he ain't worried about it.
Yeah.
He's set.
Yeah.
He ain't got to worry about money. He doesn't have to worry.
And why do you think he got himself fired, Joey? I'll let you pick up on that. Why do you think he did it?
I mean, it's something I was thinking about before I heard Conan and Disco pipe in and say it, but they kind of said the same thing I said on their show, but it's kind of what I was thinking internally. I think he wanted out of there. I think he just wanted to get the hell out of there. I think he saw how it was going. It just, knowing what you know about him and what the things he would do, for him to get involved with something like he got involved with that got him fired, it just seems like he was trying to get himself, for him to mess around with somebody as pointless and so low on the totem pole as Jungle Boy.
Mm-hmm.
If he's going to go toe to toe with somebody, you would think it would be bigger fish. It would be a Jericho Omega, somebody like that.
Yep.
Why would he go to some jobber and be like, and want to get into it with him? Unless he knew what he was doing. And to me, it just all smells of him wanting out of there.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
The other big thing that caught news this weekend was a quote from Russo. Vince Russo was on the Wrestling Outlaws podcast. He said, I really believe that's what he wants. He's talking about Ric Flair, to die in the ring. And Rick can do whatever he wants. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. But I'm telling you, bro, I honestly believe that this is his fairy tale ending. Sid Russo. Rick caught wind of that on Twitter, and he wrote back, for the first time, Vince Russo and I totally agree with you. We've had our differences, probably because of Bischoff, but he's had an issue in everyone's life. I left my entire family behind trying to be the best I could be in professional wrestling. I totally agree with you that I would love to die in the ring. I spent my entire life there, so why not? Woo! Thank you for the respect which Bischoff has never shown me.
Well, that's morbid.
Wow, right? But at least he put it. At least he's owning it. At least he put it out there and said, "Yeah, hell yeah." So
I hope we're not leading to him having a match for AEW.
But somebody just mentioned AEW's management ownership is a shit show. Enough said. That's an appropriate statement, because my next question is, at what point, when this stuff starts to get out there in the public consciousness, at what point do we start holding the promotions responsible for this? Because it's clear he's not going to put his well-being and safety and well-being forward. So if you're seeing that stuff on Twitter and you're seeing that stuff in the media, at what point does Vince McMahon or Tony Khan or somebody that is putting him on their program responsible for what happens to him?
Hey, that's kind of like what I was saying last week on the Monthly Melee when someone jump ship to AEW. You gotta say, okay, look, you can come in and just talk some noise or be a manager, whatever the case is. Kind of like what Paul Heyman did with Stone Cold. When Stone Cold had an injury, Paul Heyman said, "You could talk, right?" So that, you know what I'm saying. So that's where you have to, be smart about your business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't know what the intention is with Flair and AEW, other than the fact that he's going to be involved with this retirement storyline for Sting. Right. I'm just saying, I hope that they're not going in the direction of having Ric Flair and Sting across from each other in any kind of match, whether it be a tag match or whatever. Certainly they wouldn't consider a one-on-one match.
And just bumping in general, just hopefully that he's just, if at most at ringside, at most a mouthpiece.
I don't think fans on a big scale want to see Ric Flair try to do that again.
Shane Douglas was quoted on this recently, and he on the podcast. And he said, "There's so many ways," and he's right. There's so many ways that he can be involved in wrestling that don't involve risking his life or risking his health.
Yep.
And that he can give back as a backstage, as a producer, as a mouthpiece, as a manager. I mean, there's just so many ways he can be involved if he wants to be involved. At some point, the people that are writing up these contracts and that are hiring him to do these spots, they have to take responsibility. I feel they have to take responsibility for how he gets used. So So
hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully nobody allows him to wrestle again.
We're watching, Tony. All right. And then, of course, one of the other big momentous sort of occasions this week for AEW was the it's a possible Flair because he needs that spotlight. Yeah, man, it's hard to age gracefully in athletics in general, but in pro wrestling with how addictive that, when you get to the level that he's gotten to, man, it's hard to walk away from that and not do it anymore.
Dude, his alcoholism is probably all that's keeping him alive at this point.
Him and Keith Jarrett. All right, MJF, CM Punk, Adam Page, Kenny Omega, John Moxley, and Chris Jericho. Those are the lists of days these gentlemen had held the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. The record holder until today, the highest or the longest title reign was held formerly by Kenny Omega. As of today, November 1st, MJF is now the longest reigning AEW World Heavyweight Champion. What do you think? And he's a face.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. The writing was on the wall. They had to turn him babyface eventually. So I'm glad they did, and I think it's worked out well. I think I didn't give it credit at first. I thought he's not ready for this. It's bad, but I think he's grown into the part, and he is still his character while being a babyface, which is hilarious. He still does some of his heel mannerisms while still playing to the crowd and being a babyface.
Yep.
But no, I think it's been great. I think people like Hangman Page kind of was a bust. I don't think he ever got over as a world champion. I don't think he ever was perceived as a top guy. And, Moxley's a train wreck. So, you're looking at, I think MJF is well done. I don't think his title reign is going to stop anytime soon, to be honest.
Neither do I. And he's setting himself up beautifully because he can flip heel at any minute, and it would be perfectly logical, and you're not going to see it coming. So I think
they're stacking the deck
smart.
too. He's embroiled in this thing with Jay White. Wardlow returned and is coming after him. Kenny, he just had a match Saturday with Kenny Omega where Kenny was like, I have the right to defend my title reign and keep you from beating it. So he's wrestling everybody and taking on all comers, which is
agreed.
A breath of fresh air. For sure.
You can't say he isn't working hard. So,
God.
All right, I'm going to jump in really quickly here. We're going to move forward a little quicker here. We're going to cover a few topics in today's wrestling history. Things took place on November 1st over the years. First thing that I found that was of interest was Jushin Thunder Liger defeated Pegasus Kid in New Japan Pro Wrestling, who is, of course, a.k.a. Chris Benoit, to win his third IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. If you haven't checked out our episode on High Flyers on our YouTube page, go check that out. Jushin Thunder Liger featured pretty high on everybody's list. Understandably, he's one of the greatest to ever do it, for sure. So that was a hell of a match. Another important sort of memorable sort of event on November 1st took place in 1997. Bret Hart revealed that it was on this date that he actually literally physically signed his WCW contract worth $2.5 million per year. It was supposed to be kept confidential, but one of the dirt sheets leaked it. And we got Survivor Series and the Montreal Screwjob as a result of that. So thank you, Dirt Sheet. One of the most, certainly one of the most infamous, if not memorable, events in wrestling history. MJF is a better choice than others they could have had. Yeah, I don't disagree. Happy 60. Yes, happy birthday today. Billy Gunn is 60. Also today, turning 60 not turning 60. Also sharing that birthday with Billy Gunn is actually Bobby the Brain Heenan. So this would have been his birthday today. So
Man,
happy birthday to
Billy
him.
Gunn, another one. It's like he still looks like he's 45 or something. He looks great.
Piper wins Mid-Atlantic title on this date. That's cool. Thank you, Facebook user. That's pretty momentous.
Awesome.
We had November to Remember in 1998 at ECW. One title change hands on the night was Balls Mahoney against Masato Tanaka. They defeated Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley to win the ECW Tag Team Champion titles. And the main event was Rob Van Dam, Sabu, and Taz against the Triple Threat, Bam Bam, Chris, and Shane. So
Nice.
pretty decent pay-per-view. And then, of course, we had in 2004, we had La Resistance, Rob Conway and Sylvain Grenier defeated Edge and Chris Benoit to win the World Tag Team Championship. So that was a kind of a shocker that night. I don't think anybody expected that to happen.
No, and they were the baby faces. It was in Montreal, and they got a monster pop.
They sure did. Yeah. And then lastly, a sad note, unfortunately, we lost Brad Armstrong on November 1st in 2012 to a heart attack, unfortunately. Certainly one of the most underrated wrestlers in professional wrestling that I can think of in the last 15 or 20 years. And let's see, Masato Tanaka becomes the first person to kick out of the 3D. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's that name drop again. There you go.
Love Brad Armstrong, man. Side Russian leg sweep. Always love that.
Absolutely. All right. I think it's time that we maybe feature the belt of the month. Joey, let me cue you up real quick here. Oh, boys, got it already. This is that moment in the show when we like to try to feature a belt every month on Monthly Melee. And this week we're going to focus on. Actually, I'm going to pull this back. We're going to give you the big screen there, Joey. Let you show that beauty off.
Yeah, this is my custom classic Ring of Honor World Championship made by Jagu John. Show you, kind of go over this real quick.
Beauty.
Really nicely done here. It's just a 4mm zinc acid etched belt. But it was looking shiny until I got my fingerprints on it.
Those are solid. Those are some really nice plates, though, man. They look great, and the leather looks awesome.
Yeah, very clean etched and everything like that. And they hand tooled the entire strap, as you can see. It's like tooled all the way around the snap box. Even like he was trying some different things with the leather, and it was very. I got this cool stamping in here too, with the ROH letters and stuff. And then I did some just custom red backing on the back of it. This is not how the ring used belt was done.
Love it though. Love it.
Oh, wait a minute.
I liked it there, but always a fan of this belt. Obviously it was modeled after the UWF heavyweight title, but I love the fact that it's fully nickel plated.
Yeah,
and there you go. Like
did a little graphic here. So this belt has come and gone. This particular design a few times. It was the original heavyweight belt in 2002 to 2004, and then it came and went between 2004 and 2010. They had a few different variants that came out during that time period, but they always came back to this design. And then, of course, that became the primary belt between 2021 and 2023. It just recently got retired, and they have a new version that they're using currently. Not my favorite, the new one, but love this version. Love this.
To me, this looks better than the current one that they have. It's just
I was just trying to get
TV accurate belts. No, it's not TV accurate. I'll be the first to tell you that. But I like what he did with it. But there you go, like James Gibson up there, aka Jamie Noble.
Yeah,
one of the champions. You got Joe. You got Homicide. You got Low Key, Jerry Lynn. See Bryan Danielson, Nigel McGuinness, CM Punk, Austin Aries, Xavier, and that little guy Tyler Black. I think he might have been the last guy to hold the original version.
That version, He was, and then
he's the one that got the newer version of the belt that came after.
Absolutely correct, sir. You know your stuff. That is absolutely correct. And low key on the top, over on the right there, just below Jerry Lynn, was actually the first gentleman to carry that belt. He was the
That's
first
right.
one he won it in the tournament,
right,
in 2002. So love that belt. That is a beauty, absolute beauty. All right. I've got one more little segment here for us to go through, and that is the quiz of the evening. Just find that here. Okay, so here's how this works. I'm going to bring up a graphic with a list of championship belts. And we're going to see if there's anybody out there in the audience watching tonight who might be able to identify this wrestler based on the titles that they have won in their career. I will give you a hint. Yesterday was Halloween, and a lot of our quizzes this week have centered around horror or Halloween themed type wrestlers.
I know already just by looking at the first couple of them.
Boom, Man Up's in there already. So this wrestler is known for winning the WWF Championship, World Heavyweight Championship, ECW Championship, WCW Tag Team, WWF WWE Intercontinental, WWF Hardcore, WWE 24/7.
Kind of sounds like Man Up's favorite wrestler.
It might just be WWF WE World Tag Team Champion, USWA Southern Heavyweight, and the SMW is a good hint. Tag Team Champion. See what we got in their job or pulling it in with Kane. You got it, sir. Absolutely 100% correct.
Yep, there you go right there.
We are talking about the Big Red Machine. Get that comment off there. There you go. We are talking about Kane, Glenn Jacobs.
Yeah, my favorite.
And those are his various belts.
I got that right off the bat.
You nailed that.
He might have won a few during his career. He might have won a few.
He did all right.
He won all right. Just a few championships.
Yeah. What was that on that auction show? Taker went to his house and they pulled his boots out and the toes were worn off them. And he said that's a sign of a wrestler that won more than he lost.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing more pinning than laying on his back. So
yeah,
there you go, Mayor Kane. You got it.
Oh,
well,
man.
Gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of this evening's show. That covers everything I had ready to cover. Is there anything anybody wants to cover before we call it a night? Anything you want to discuss? Anything from the audience? Anybody want to bring anything up? We're happy to offer our opinions.
You want us to rant about something?
Yeah, we're happy to do it. We love to rant. So if you have any comments in the chat there, we're happy to speak on it. If we don't see anything, we're probably going to call it a night and wrap this up. So, but it was a great show. Loved the feedback. Loved the input. Loved all the conversations. Yeah. Some really great opinions. Some great insights. So I appreciate you guys kicking in and giving us your feedback and giving us your opinions on all of our topics this evening. That was awesome.
Well, we got it. You know what we got to do now? Man up. You got to tell them what they got to go do after this.
Oh, yeah.
What are you talking about? I don't think. Okay, no, let me stop. I tried to pull a Joey, but it didn't work.
I know, right?
All right. So if y'all like what y'all saw, please go ahead and hit that like and that subscribe button. While you're doing that, make sure you hit all notifications because we don't just do these 1-hour shows. We do a whole lot on YouTube. So with that being said, we do 1-hour shows, we do unboxings, we do belt reviews, we do shorts, we do live events. That's why we call Bells and Belts and everything in between. So if you want to see everything that we do, make sure you hit all notifications when you subscribe. Joey, go ahead and tell them what they can do on Facebook.
Yeah, you should join the Bells and Belts group, but some of y'all are already there and we appreciate y'all. But for those who are not, go ahead and join the Bells and Belts group. That's where you get to be a part of the creative team sometimes. Help us come up with great ideas. Help us decide what show to do. Like last week's show was strictly off of a poll from the Facebook group is it's what people said they wanted to see. So we try to give you what you want to see. And then it gives us, we got to come up. We only got a few days to come up with all we're going to talk about, everything like that. So it puts us to work, but we like that. Please go ahead and join our Facebook group at Bells and Belts. If you're seeing our logo, you're in the right place.
And you can also they can also catch us at Champions Belt Club. Come on in that group and join us as well. We have daily quizzes, daily trivia, lots of wrestling history. We also have current news and events. And we have a weekly Friday Fantasy Wrestling booking tournament that we're doing right now. Top 12 greatest NWA World Champions. Come on in, cast your vote, and let us know who you think should be the man.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, too. We just saw... it tears up my heart every time we have to vote, too, because I just saw Luthez beat Terry Funk, right, in the voting, and I'm like... wasn't that who it was? But anyway, I know Luthez just won, and I was like, man, I love Luthez, so I voted for him, but it hurts because I got to vote against somebody and put him out.
Yeah, we're getting to that point now where every single person that's left is somebody's favorite, so it's getting hard.
Join if you're not in it, you'll find out what we're talking about.
Yeah,
you'll see.
It's fun, but it's painful. So we're having a good time. And Joey, what's going on next week? What do we got going on?
Oh, man, a lot of you guys were there the first time we had Wes Adams on, former WWE superstar referee, longtime independent professional wrestler as well, sometimes known as Scott Starr, lifeguard Scott Starr, a whole bunch of different names, but you know him as Wes Adams. He was on here last time. We had a great interview with him, but we left a lot on the table. So now we're going to be hitting Wes with some of these controversial questions, his thoughts on the refereeing in the business today. We're going to be... If you guys want to bring your questions, bring them. If you want Wes's opinion on things that are going in professional wrestling, bring your questions because we're going to have a lot more open time on this one to bring forth the questions that you guys have and we have. So we're getting Wes back. Wes is very excited. I just talked to him today, and he can't wait. So we can't wait.
Yeah, and also if you want to talk to Wes about his personal interactions with the wrestlers in the company and a lot of the people behind the scenes, now's the time to get those questions in. So definitely hit us up next week and have those questions ready.
Hey.
All right, guys. Well, I think we covered everything we wanted to cover tonight. So I think it's time for that magic.
And new Ring of Honor champion is Joey.
Right on.
I don't want to get backhanded by Eddie Kingston, but
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, for myself, Man Up, and of course, Brocephus, Joey Gray, we want to thank you guys all for hanging out with us this evening, taking part in the conversations, and for just being there to hang out and have a good evening. We hope everyone has a fantastic week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you next week.